again, everyone, and welcome to Badger Breakdown. I'm Mike Lucas from UWBadgers.com. I'm joined by the voice of the Badgers, Matt Lepay. And Matt, when you take a look at the dichotomy from one week to the next with the quarterbacks, it's striking. You think about Terrell Pryor and Scott Tolzien being the polar opposites. Meanwhile, Tolzien and Ricky Stanzi may be the same guy.
Yeah, the only thing that all three would have in common is having some wide receivers that you're familiar with. Pryor certainly has that with Dane Sanzenbacher and DeVere Posey. But clearly the similarities in there if you put Pryor with Tolzien and Stanzi. Stanzi, his numbers are so much better than they were a year ago, especially the interception total being just 13 touchdowns. But he, like Scotty, has wide receivers he's familiar with, and I think you're seeing that payoff right now.
One of the common denominators with these programs is how they have been built and what they like to do. What happens when these two forces meet?
Good question, because I think the core values are much the same. I think when you look at teams over the years that have been very successful with the walk-on programs, you think of Wisconsin and Iowa. You think of teams that don't have a lot of frills. They try to run the ball, stop the run, although both teams can throw. It's cliche, but it comes down to mistakes, breakdowns here and there can be the separator. Turnovers can be a separator. Otherwise, there are, again, a lot of similarities between these two teams again.
All right, here's the question I've received all week long. Is there any chance the Badgers will be the victim of a letdown in Kinnick Stadium against the Hawkeyes? Go ahead, take it on.
Well, actually, what I would be concerned with more than a letdown is just the physical toll. I mean, this is one of those things you talk about that as good of a team as Boise State is, it isn't going. Tell me, is it going to play a team in consecutive weeks as physical as Ohio State and Iowa? And that's what I think the first thing that comes to my mind. Not so much an emotional letdown, but that was a very physical game last Saturday night against Ohio State. Now, can you get yourself physically ready to go on the road and play a team that is every bit as good, if not better, than the team you just beat? So I think if the term letdown comes into play, I look at it more from a physical standpoint, knowing that you're going to be in for another pounding type of game as opposed to some more finesse teams that might be on your schedule. Especially
from my perspective, since the Iowa defense, I think, is better overall than what we saw from Ohio State, especially up front where the Hawkeyes can go 5 deep.
With the guy like Adrian Claiborne, Carl Klug's very good, Broderick Benz, Christian Ballard, all across the line, they're good. They're maybe a little bit more simple. Coaches would tell you what Iowa does defensively, but it doesn't matter what it does very well. There are different ways to play. Iowa doesn't vary a whole lot. The Hawkeyes just are very good almost all the time at what they do.
All right, here's another question I've gotten all week. Do the Badgers need to validate their win against number 1 ranked Ohio State by beating the Hawkeyes?
Well, I think what it does, again, you can call it validate or whatever, but it's about staying in the conference race. If Wisconsin wins this game, it remains in the thick of the conference race. If Wisconsin doesn't win this game, then you're 2 games, that's 2 losses. You have Iowa still without a loss, depending on what Michigan State does. Then you need a whole lot of things to happen. So this is about staying in the conference race above all else, I think, for the Badgers.
For Matt Lepay, I'm Mike Lucas. Thanks for watching UWBadgers.com.